Good morning.
Good
Or
afternoon, guys.
good afternoon. 2 minutes past 12, so it's the afternoon now. My name is Emily. I'm from Cambridge in the United Kingdom.
And my name is Gabriel. I'm from Birmingham, also in the UK. And we are both at the Ponte Lungo School in Rome. Who are you and where are you?
And how are you?
And how are you?
And why are
And
you?
why are you?
No, you can ignore that.
Let's not get that deep. Too philosophical.
And we're going to talk about films this morning, which I am always happy to do. We've got in this focus activity present simple, description words, making suggestions. Juliana,
how are you doing? Nice to have you on.
I remember. I think this was Brazilian Juliana.
Brazilian Juliana, yeah.
Well, maybe it's just us and Juliana.
It's the old two teachers, one student. The way we've come to do things.
Okay.
We may as well pull up the first slide.
Yeah. Oh, blast. Okay. So before we answer any questions, we need to write the questions. So Juliana, for number one, we're always thinking about films. For number one, how could you write a complete question? So grammatically complete question from this with this adjective.
Many years, about 22 years.
So we want a question for number one there. Perfect.
What's your favorite film? Excellent.
Yeah. Just that's perfect, Juliana. Just something to be aware of. You have written favorites with the American spelling, which is great. No problem. For number one, you can see we've got F-A-V-O-U-R. This is the British spelling with the U. And yours, F-A-V-O-R, absolutely correct, is the American. And why do you like that film? Perfect. Okay. So, Juliana, what is your favorite film? And why? What are you giggling at, Gabe?
Just because you went for a choke. You looked like you were trying to choke.
I was trying to get an itch on my back.
What's your favorite film, Juliana? And why?
What's yours, Gabe? I know it's a difficult question.
It's a really difficult question. I always say In Bruges, though. I love that film
for
some reason. I keep coming back to In Bruges.
I love that film too. I really love that film.
It's such a. I can't exactly I can't explain why, but it's. I don't know. I just love the entire feel of that film.
Yeah.
I like the kind of. Samuel Beckett-esque existentialism about it as well, or
Yeah.
nihilism in some way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Yeah, this is a really hard question,
It's
Juliana.
a difficult question. You can take a minute. Yeah, Juliana.
Even if it's not your favorite film, a film that you really like, let's say, or really enjoy.
Could you recommend a film to us?
Mm.
So the film Gabe just mentioned, which is a great film, is called In Bruges. It's an Irish film set in Bruges, in Belgium, funnily enough.
It's we can get up to genre later on, can't we? Never mind. Let's just
tragic.
And actors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Love a good talk about genres. What's your favourite film, Emily?
I mean, I don't really have a favourite film, but I have an answer to this question because we have to teach this focus. And the answer I always give is a film called Where the Wilder People Are.
Oh.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, no, but I read the is that the same as where the wild things are?
No, that's another thing.
Oh no. Okay, no, I've seen of that film. No, I haven't seen it. Is it a film about that boy and okay.
Yeah. But it's there are things about it. It's a completely different story to In Bruges, but there are similarities because they're both very funny and very tragic at the same time.
Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Great sentence as well.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah. You got an irregular past tense in there. Very good.
Okay. Just need to stick of into that. Very minor correction, but whoops, I can't type. A lot of cartoons. But perfect otherwise.
Yeah.
Number
2 is kind of the same as number 1. So maybe we don't need to make Juliana right.
Your least favourite film.
So Juliana, what is your least favourite film?
It's a bit of a weird question, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So your favourite means the best, and then your least favourite is one that you hate.
Nausicaa of Miyazaki. I haven't seen that. I love Miyazaki though.
Me too.
In general, Nausicaa. I wonder if that's a Nausicaa.
It's the same in English. It's the same in English because I recognise the title, but I haven't seen it.
I will watch that film.
Yeah. What's your favourite Miyazaki, Gabe?
I like Castle in the Sky.
Howl's Moving Castle.
No, there's another one called.
Oh.
There's another one called Castle in the Sky. I like that one. Also, Spirited Away is.
I know
Spirited
Away is. I think that is my favourite. I know it's like the most popular one.
It's the most popular one, but it's insane. I think that was the only one I saw as a child as well. So
yeah,
it has
me too.
the extra impact of being formative.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only one I saw as a child. All the others I've seen as an adult. But it's amazing. I watched Princess Mononoke recently. That's very good as well. Very thought-provoking. Have you seen that one? Because it's all about environmental
No, I haven't.
pollution.
Princess I shall have to watch that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Miyazaki marathon. I've just decided. Thanks, guys.
So, Juliana, your least favorite film should be a film that you don't like, a bad film. I think you liked Nausicaa because you said before it's a great movie. So it wouldn't be your least favorite.
Your least favorite is one that you hate.
Otherwise, that's a great sentence. It's so different, but it isn't superficial. That's a really nice, that's really good language there. It's just the least favorite should be for something bad. Do you have a least favorite film, Gabe?
I find this question difficult because I feel as though if I strongly dislike a film, then the film has made me feel something in some way. And that's not a bad thing in a sense. I think it's very different from a film which I found very boring, you know, because in that instance, you can't remember it. So
yes, that's true. But there are some films that are obnoxious.
You mean offensive in some way? Because there are, of course. Yes, of course. Can you think of an example, for instance?
Well, Juliana is obviously not going to be your best friend because she says she doesn't like horror films.
I do like horror films. I like good horror films and I like bad horror films.
The last film I saw that, it's not my least favorite film, but the last film that I didn't like that I saw was Woody Allen's most recent film, which was called A Rainy Day in New York. And it's got all of the stuff that's usually good in a Woody Allen film. It's got lots of clever dialogue. There were quite lots of beautiful pictures of New York, but it was another film about older men in love with a very young woman.
Okay.
And yeah, because your least favorite film, it doesn't mean that I suppose it doesn't mean that it's a bad film, is what I said. It's a film that you didn't like. And there are, by lots of measurements, this Woody Allen film is a good film in terms of, I don't know, cinematography and all sorts of things. But overall, I didn't like it. It's not my least favorite film, but that was the last film that I remember strongly, that I strongly objected to. Well, what about number 3? Juliana, for number 3, could you make a question for us? So we've got actors, a question about actors. I hope Juliana is still with us.
We've talked about Tilda Swinton before. I know she's a favourite of yours, and I quite like her as well. I think she's fantastic. This is a question I find difficult because I think that lots of different actors are fantastic in different things. And they different genres. I also very much like seeing actors that I haven't seen before. too.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I won't necessarily choose films based on the actors that are in it. Sometimes I will.
That's actually maybe quite a good measurement. Are there any actors that make you want to see the film only because of that actor?
Potentially, if it's like a really loved film. For instance, I love Brendan Gleeson because of In Bruges. And I've seen almost all of his stuff.
Well, Juliana has mentioned one of my answers to that question, which is this. I think Adam Driver is one of the actors that make me that I love and I want to watch a film because Adam Driver is in it. And he is one of the two main characters in Marriage Story. I really liked that film. I don't know. I wonder why Juliana can't finish it. I think it was a great film, but it's quite intense and emotional.
Oh, this is the one with Scarlett Johansson in as well, yeah.
Yeah. Noah Baumbach is the director.
Do you know what? I started that film as well, and I had. I think I wasn't in the right mood, and I stopped watching it too.
Oh, really?
I just wasn't. I wasn't in the right mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's not that I didn't like it. It was just that I wasn't. Sometimes you're not in the right mood, I feel, to watch a certain kind of film.
Well, maybe you're the same as Juliana then. Yeah.
However, I'm always in the mood to watch a horror film.
Okay.
We have similarities, but big differences.
For Juliana, what that expression that we keep using is to be. Oops. I can't type. In the mood. So your mood is how you feel. So we often say in English that you are in the mood for something, which means you are emotionally prepared for it, or you're not in the mood. And that means that in that moment, it's not the right activity.
Yeah, so you could say, tonight I'm in the mood to watch a comedy film, which means you're emotionally prepared or happy. Your state of mind wants a comedy film in some way.
Yeah.
Or in the mood for a thriller, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, so you should finish it. Yeah. Finish it when you are in the mood for an intense family drama. Just one tiny thing, little grammar thing. In English, we would say, I will try to finish it. Okay, I could say, are you writing an example?
Yeah,
No.
well, I mean...
We can both write an example. Perfect. I will try to finish it. So for an example of in the mood, I put, I'm not in the mood for an action film tonight. Can we watch something calm, like a romance?
Yeah, I've gone with a negative as well. Oops, I made a typo. How about a comedy? Sorry.
Yeah. To change your mood. Are there any actors that you love, Juliana? What actors make you want to see a film? So I said Adam Driver, who's the actor in Marriage Story. He's the dad. Tilda Swinton also.
I tend to watch actors in a range of films in a more ironic sense sometimes as well. Like, there's a bit of a cult around Nicolas Cage, for instance, which I tend to follow. The guy has made so many films. Some of them have been absolutely fantastic, to be fair. Some of them are really terrible. Some of them are really terrible.
In terms of numbers, the bad Nicolas Cage films outweigh the good ones, I suspect.
It's true. But I heard that I think it was after his, I don't want to make stuff up, but I think after his wife died, I think his wife died or something like that. Let me just make sure. Maybe I'm confusing him with someone else.
What do you think about Nicolas Cage, Juliana? Oh, she doesn't like Jim Carrey. Why not? I mean, I think I understand why not, but I would like your explanation. What were you saying?
I've heard that a couple of times. People have strong opinions about Jim Carrey.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem is Jim Carrey, he does the same thing for every role. He performs in the same way all the time. He just plays this one character. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes the films are good. And,
the Truman Show is probably that one where it works quite well, isn't it?
The Truman Show is great, yeah. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is nice as well.
That's true.
And I Love You, Philip Morris. That was quite nice as well. That was a good Jim Carrey film.
I think I've seen that one.
That was good. It's worth watching. Him and Ewan McGregor. I always get the names of Ian McEwan. I get
Ian McKellen
and Ewan McGregor muddled up. Not the people, just the names.
Just names, okay.
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McEwan.
Yeah. And Ewan McGregor and Jim Carrey are in love, and Jim Carrey keeps breaking out of prison, and then he keeps breaking Ewan McGregor out of prison. So it's a comedy about that, but it's genuinely funny and touching.
Okay.
But I understand that why Juliana says that he isn't funny. I think very often he isn't funny, in my opinion as well. Although I do like Bruce Almighty.
That film annoys me. It's always on TV as well. Every time you switch your TV on a Sunday afternoon, Bruce Almighty's on.
Okay, genre. Juliana,
what is your favourite genre, Juliana?
What's your favourite genre? And what are some examples of genres? We have talked about some genres. So you said cartoon before.
And you said you don't like horror.
Yeah. So we've got cartoon films, horror films.
What other genres? And which ones do you like? There's another one, another type of film, or kind of class of dark fantasy, which is sometimes hit or miss for me, is the whole Tim Burton scene. Sometimes the Tim Burton films can be fantastic and really dark. Sometimes I just feel like it's Tim Burton doing dark fantasy for the sake of it, you know.
Yeah.
And they're very similar.
I think it's quite a long time since he's made a really great film, isn't it? Because some of the early ones were really wonderful. But I don't know that I've loved any of them for quite a while. I always get excited when he has a new film. I always watch them, but
I know exactly, me too. I like it's enough to keep me watching because I like that kind of scene, that genre so much. Juliana says, I like cartoons, documentaries, fantasies, and comedies, and romance and science fiction too.
Everything.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have a genre that I dislike. And a lot of people dislike horror films. I like good horror films, but I am not often in the mood for a horror film. And also I don't watch them by myself. Because if I watch them by myself, then when I get scared, I just stop. And I need someone else to be there to make me see it through. But I like all of Juliana's suggestions, and it's lots of
excellent
vocab for genres.
Documentaries increasingly as well. There are some fantastic.
Gabe, what are you doing? Your computer again.
Sorry, no, I'm probably stamping my legs. I'll stop. I'm fiddling. There are some fantastic documentaries around though as well. I'm increasingly getting into docudramas and that kind of stuff as well. Okay. All right. Musical. Musical films are hit and miss for me. Hit and miss. I don't know if you've come across this phrase, Juliana. Hit and miss can mean you like one and then you don't like another. They're kind of maybe 50% are good, 50% are bad. Is that a good way of describing hit and miss?
Yeah.
Inconsistent in a way.
Yeah. When I became a mum, I can't see psychological thrillers or horror films. That's interesting. Being a mum changes the situation.
A lot of horror films often involve children in some way as well, don't they? often involve child possession or that's true. I've never thought of that before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really true. I've never thought of that.
You should avoid the film Mother, Juliana.
Quite.
Okay.
Or, yeah, there's too many of them to avoid.
Yeah. Okay, so for this, we're gonna. Okay, wait. For this activity, we would like you to choose a particular film and then tell us about this film. So these first two questions are about the setting. So the setting of the film is when and where. When and where the film takes place. And then we have this verb here, to take place. So this is these two words together form one verb, to take place. And to take place, I usually just say to take place means to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's the simplest.
So it's also possibly useful for anybody else watching, perhaps at a future date, if we were to start a reply to where does it take place, when does it take place, we would probably use this stock phrase, it takes place in. Yeah. So we might start, and you remember you need the subject, it, meaning the film or the story. It takes place in.
And so third person, so we need takes with S.
Yeah. So if you can think of your favorite film, for instance, the Miyazaki film, maybe the Miyazaki film, or
for Juliana, yeah.
Yeah, how about the Miyazaki film, Juliana?
Yeah.
Where does it take place? It's quite an interesting example as well.
To know. So I'm happy for Juliana to give me this information because I'm curious about the film. And with Miyazaki films, it can sometimes be difficult to describe. But
because they're quite almost sometimes hypothetical or kind of in a vague landscape or some kind of magical world.
Yeah. You don't need to give us the name of a city. You could give us more of a description. So if we stick with Miyazaki, where on earth does Spirited Away take place?
Like several different places, and then kind of in the world of abstract imagination.
Yeah.
It starts with a family moving house to a suburban area in.
Yeah.
It's not fixed. That's the problem with Miyazaki. You have no, and also the bit that's amazing. I don't know. For instance, within Bruges, you can say it takes place in Bruges. In this, obviously, it's in the title.
It takes place in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. It takes place in Bruges in the modern day, but figuratively, it takes place in this kind of purgatory. in a way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
This kind of escape no man's land.
Yeah. I imagine Nausicaa takes place in the water somewhere. Oh, no. That was very wrong.
In the desert, the opposite of water, if anything. It takes place in the desert, in
nature.
In nature, yeah. We dropped the article with in
the village. No, that's perfect. So, Juliana, your use of take place is absolutely correct. Yeah. It takes place in the desert. The film happens, and the action happens. The action takes place in the desert, in nature, in the village. Maybe in the village where there is a lot of wind. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
great.
And we can use the same phrase. When does it take place?
Yeah. Well, I thought the sea somewhere, because Nausicaa, I think, is a mythological Greek lady who lived in the sea. But that doesn't mean that in a Miyazaki film it would. And also my memory could easily be wrong.
Maybe it's not so much about the location of where she is, and more about the unfold. No, you're definitely right about her being a kind of island inhabitant.
Yeah, so when does it take place? Well, maybe I'll talk about the film I mentioned. So this film with a strange title, Where Will the People Are, takes place in New Zealand in the modern day. And I definitely recommend Where the Wilder People Are, Juliana, if you want a film to watch. And you could watch this film with your children. It's children. It's a film for children and adults. It's very funny, and it's so lovely. But it will make you cry too. Can you hear my fridge? It's going a bit crazy.
I can, a little bit.
It's annoying.
My film is a little disappointing in answering this question, because the title is the answer to this question, isn't it? So I won't give you the example.
And in Where the Wilder People Are, the main actors, I can't remember the name of any. Oh, O'Neill. Oh, what's his name? Quite a famous Kiwi actor, New Zealand actor. James O'Neill, someone O'Neill. But the name of the boy, I don't remember. But he is, you might recognize him. One sec, I'm going to bash my fridge.
So we've got who are the main actors and who is the director. We've kind of covered who are the main actors. Also, if your film is animated in some way, it may be more difficult because it's more voice actors, isn't it?
Yeah. And we said it's a Miyazaki. Juliana already mentioned that it's a Miyazaki film.
Yes.
So we could just go forward.
I think we can skip that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we have 7 minutes, and we need to correct these sentences. There are tiny, tiny mistakes, tiny errors in each. Well, one tiny error in each sentence. So Juliana, can you tell us what is the mistake? Or maybe you could rewrite the sentence with the correction.
The first one's tricky.
It is very tricky. I am the same, Juliana. I always cry in films. Actually, I cried. I watched a Simpsons episode yesterday and I cried. But it was a very emotional Simpsons episode. You've disappeared.
I know, I shut down the cam and I'm moving my legs because So what's the correction in The Wizard of Oz is my favourite classic film?
Yeah.
It's a very minor correction in this one.
It's difficult to see the mistake, yeah. It's not a grammar problem.
No.
It is not a word order problem. It is not a vocabulary problem.
Another very good. I was trying to think of animated films which have stayed with me. Have you seen The Triplets of Belleville?
Yeah, it's lovely.
I think that that is one of my favourite animated films. Fantastic.
I think no. So it's not a. That's a good guess, but it's not a problem of vocabulary. So it absolutely, The Wizard of Oz is a fantasy film. It is also a classic film. So maybe we should just...
I think so. The correction here is that because it's the name of a film, we really need to capitalize the W and the O. So it's The Wizard of Oz is my favorite classic film, but that's so minor.
Yeah.
It was difficult to spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So in correct written English, in a more formal context, then we would need the capital letter, the big W and the big O.
Hmm. What about number? yeah. Exactly. Exactly my response. Okay. Number 2, Moulin Rouge takes place Paris. I had to correct myself then.
You almost fixed the mistake.
This one is a grammatical error.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Moulin Rouge takes place in Paris.
Yeah. Number 3. Gladiator is the best film of Russell Crowe. This is, again, a grammatical error. You've got to stop thinking in an Italian way and think in an English way.
That's a good hint.
So it's not quite this. You have identified the error. The best film of Russell Crowe is not a natural English phrase, but we need to change the sentence a bit more. So we're talking about, how do we make a possessive in English? We don't use of. This is like the Italian. How do we normally make a possessive in English? Still not quite. So
maybe this is tough to rearrange, because it's still it is still carries this one with the error still carries a kind of possessive sense, but usually when we form the possessive in English, we need this apostrophe S. So Gladiator, I think we just give it, Gladiator is Russell Crowe's best film. This is the best way of expressing possession in English. It's the smoothest, most natural way with this apostrophe S.
So that one,
that one's difficult, a little bit difficult,
but important.
Yes. If you want to sound natural and native, we use this possessive S form. Okay.
Okay, number 4. Oh, we need to stop. No, we need to stop.
We need to stop, yes.
Okay, well, I'm just going to throw the answers up so that future students can pause the video and they can see what the situation is. But
Star Wars, it is a science fiction film. We don't need the subject again, it. So we just say Star Wars is a science fiction film. This is a double subject otherwise.
And then the special effects in the film Avatar is amazing. Special effects, plural. So the special effects are amazing.
Mm-hmm. And Pulp Fiction is a great soundtrack. Pulp Fiction is the film. So we need to express have as possession. It is not the soundtrack. Pulp Fiction has a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Okay, but great job, Juliana. That was really
Yeah.
good. I
You
hope
carried it on your shoulders throughout. Fantastic work.
Yeah.
We had a
Yeah,
nice
really
discussion.
good stuff. It's lovely to have a student who interacts so much with us. That was
It
really
really
good.
is. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So enjoy the rest of your day, Juliana, and all other students who are watching.
Yeah.
I think we're back at for a 4 to 5 later this evening.
I think at 8 p.m. we
8
have a 4
p.m.
to 5.
We have a 4 to 5, if you're around.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.